Welcome to another episode of the Drift Car Build-Off presented by Koyorad and Spec Clutch.
Before we can go rip some sweet skids, we're going to feed this thing all the coolers in the world with some help from Koyorad and Vibrant Performance. Now that we've got the front end of the Z all bolted back in place, it's time to install the first of our 3 Koyorad coolers. This is their new Crossflow Hyper-V series 36mm core radiator. And as the name would imply, the water is designed to flow across it rather than down it. So on a normal OE style radiator, like the one in this car, the end tanks are on the top and the bottom and the water flows down. So it's called a downflow radiator. This is, and by the way, they do make a downflow radiator for this car for the 2003 to 2006 Z like ours, if you want a direct fit. This is very close to direct fit, which we'll discuss in a moment, but it uses end tanks on the 2 ends, which creates this cross-flow path. And what that does is it allows the water to spend 60% more time in the core because it's traveling a longer path. And with more time in the core, the more cooling efficiency you get. The core itself also uses ultra-high fin densities that is designed to improve airflow through the core and as well as adding capacity. So you get a very efficient cooler in what is quite a compact package. And the benefit of that compactness will come into play when we mount up our other 2 Koyorad coolers, a big oil cooler and a smaller power steering cooler. So that's a quick summary of the radiator itself. Oh, I should also mention that it comes with a 1/8 NPT bung here that we're going to use to put a water temp sensor in, and that semi non-direct fit issue comes down to this lower outlet being in a different position because the end tanks are on the end now. So apparently we need to trim the rad fan shroud a little bit here, but that's the only challenge I think we're going to face while bolting this up. So let's get to testing that rad fan shroud out and seeing how tight a fit it really is here. We've got the OE fans in place here, and it actually fits without any interference anywhere, but looking a little closer we can see that it's very tight here to the lower spout. So we're gonna just trim a little round section out here which will let us get the hose in and out. All right.
I think that's pretty good. Took a good amount off there.
Lots of room there now, PT.
Tons of room.
You fit all the hose you want in there.
I know, and we will. We've got that nice blue Samco hose.
It's true, we got those fancy hoses.
Yeah. Comes time for another easy install. The Z is full of easy installs. Whew, she's tight here, DP.
Yeah.
It's kind of tight.
From the one install video I watched on YouTube, some kid in his driveway in the dark, he took the fan off.
Yeah.
So you may have to take the fans off to fit it in there.
Take 2 here.
Oh.
Yeah, that fits up like a champ. Come on.
That's the way to do it.
Look at that.
What are you jammed up on, PT? What are you jammed up on? Tell the internet. Tell them what they want to hear.
Jammed up on everything. Can't get it to turn because of the spout up here. After 3 attempts here, I have figured out that you want to get this fan back in. The quickest and easiest way to do that is from the bottom. You just slide it in and kind of get it somewhat in place there. And now you can drop it in and get it all lined up here.
Time to put the cherry on top of our Hyper-V Koyorad, and that is with Koyo's Hyper Rad Cap. This is a 1.3 bar rad cap which raises the boiling point of water to higher than the factory cap, which is a 1.1 bar. And why is that important? Well, when you boil the water in your cooling system, you introduce air, and air is bad for a cooling system. You can get cavitation of the water pump, you can get hot spots in the cooling system, which can cause all kinds of problems. So in a high performance application, you want to avoid boiling water at all costs, so this will give us some protection. It adds about 10 degrees before you'd boil the water. So it's a little bit of extra protection for the motor against that scenario. And really the only downside to going to a higher bar rad cap is that it puts the pressurized components under greater stress, which makes these Samco hoses actually even more valuable because by raising the pressure in the system, we're stressing these hoses even more. So it's a good thing we got these hand-me-down hoses from our friend Xander in Arizona. All right, that is a wrap on the water cooling upgrades. It's time to move on to the oil and the power steering. We are moving on to fitting up these oil coolers. These two coolers, you can see the other one tucked away in here, are part of Koyorad's universal lineup of oil coolers, designed for anything from engine oil to power steering to transmissions or differentials. Come in 4 sizes. You've got your 10 row, 15 row like I used on Connie Celica, 19 row like Pete used on his S14, and the big boy, the 25 row that we're using for engine oil on this guy. Strategically figuring out where to mount these is a bit of a challenge. It looks like we're going to mount the power steering 10 row sucker kind of over tucked up on the side here, which is near the factory lines for the factory or for the power steering pump. So we think that's going to work well, and will still allow some direct airflow to the radiator on this side. And then the big oil cooler is going to go over on this side. We're thinking upside down, kind of up in here, comme ça. That'll leave us room for fittings down on the bottom. Still leave a little bit of an air passage to the rad here. And there's a big air gap on the back side, so that'll allow good airflow through this to get to the radiator. So we think that's probably the setup we're going to go with. It's going to require some fabrication of brackets and so on to mount it all up, which means it's time for Peter to take over here.
Once again, the metal bin does come in handy. Check out my little L-shaped bracket that I've got with some rubber isolators in between my nut and bolt here. And that means that our power steering cooler is gonna mount up as so. I'm using an existing hole up here that I've been able to pass a bolt through, so it'll bolt up there, and then you can't see this over here, but I drilled a hole into the composite, I don't even know what this is.
It's
front plastic, yeah, into there. So the cooler is going to be held in place like that. And before I get to mounting this up, it is time we actually put some fittings into this.
It's time to get this vibrant performance party started with all these goodies that are going to help us plumb up our power steering cooler. As you know, it's always a bit of a challenge to plumb any kind of custom cooler setup, whether it's for oil coolers or vacuum lines or power steering, whatever the case may be. Vibrant has a massive selection of parts, and I actually find it really satisfying going through a catalog. I guess I'm just an old man.
I was gonna say,
Likes
you're
to
showing
turn
your
paper
age,
pages.
DP.
But there was something satisfying about going through this, picking out all the fittings, mapping it all out, figuring it out. So they have fittings from 3 AN to 20 AN in just about every type of angle you can imagine, all in this nice black anodized finish, all made of T6061 aluminum. It's the good stuff. They have everything you need for any kind of custom job like this. We've used it on pretty much every plumbing job you've ever seen around here, and that theme is continuing today. So for our little Koyorad cooler, we need a 10 AM ORB, which has this O-ring on it. That's what the ORB part stands for. And there's actually a little recessed area here where the O-ring sits down in here to make a positive seal. So this guy is going to thread in here. And you can see, since we're running this on power steering, which uses a fairly small diameter factory line, we've gone with Vibrant's -6 flex hose that we're going to use with their push-on fitting. So this is going to allow us to push this onto the factory hard line, and then using these 90-degree push-on style fittings, which are -6, screw that on here, and we'll be able to push the hose onto both this end and onto the factory hard lines. And to make that connection a little bit more secure, we're going to use these very nice little stainless steel clamp-on style hose clamps. And they actually clamp on with this wrench, which I guess I could take out of the bag here. Let's,
I was leaving that for you so you could get the satisfaction of ripping that bag open.
You mean the frustration?
No.
All right, let me get
Like
this out here.
Christmas.
It is a bit like Christmas, you're right. I don't even know how to use this tool, but we're going to figure it out. This is a first for us. It looks like it just sort of clamps on there, squeeze that down, and it's going to make a nice 360-degree clamp onto the hose. And apparently they never need to be tightened again. So once you clamp them on there, you get a complete 360-degree clamp load, and it never ever is going to come loose.
And we bust out our trusty Vibrant hose shears again. Oh yeah, this rubber hose I like a lot.
Yeah, it seems
Super
nice,
smooth.
flexible hose, huh?
Nice. Now DP, did you do some research? Because I certainly didn't, in terms of how you install them. Can I just slide it in with my hand? Will that work?
Yeah, it's called a push fitting for a reason,
Yeah.
I think, Pete.
All right.
Just push it in there. I believe that's all there is to it.
Wow.
And as far as using the clamps go, from what I've read on Vibrant's website, they recommend using the clamps for pressures over 20 psi or temperatures over 150 Fahrenheit.
So I think we'll use them here. Now we'll slide our little clamp on fitting there, move it into place, and I guess you just squeeze it, right, TP?
Just squeeze it, buddy. Should clamp that down.
Ooh, I can feel it working. Wow, that is awesome. I like that.
Yeah, we've never used those before, have we?
No. Sweet. All right. So this is our first line. I'll make another one up and we will be good to go. With our fittings and our hose run to the cooler, now we got to hook it up to the factory power steering hard lines. So as you can see, we've got our Vibrant hose here, and this is definitely a very tight fit. You can see on this side, we've actually gone ahead, got it down fully, and used our pinch clamp once again to get it into place. So it's really a great way to utilize the factory lines and add an AN style oil cooler, or sorry, power steering cooler into the system.
Looking good, PT. I'm loving this push-on setup with these pinch clamps. It's really
I know,
slick,
those worked
isn't it?
out real well. It's
Yeah.
kind of my new favorite type of fitting.
I like the way you tuck the cooler on the side here so we get good airflow to the radiator still. And if you guys are wondering why we've gone to a bigger power steering cooler on the setup, because the car actually does come with a tiny little cooler from the factory. Obviously, when you're drifting, you're doing a lot of rapid steering back and forth, and that puts a lot of heat through the power steering system. And so to keep it from overheating, which can lead to all kinds of problems, from fluid puking out the reservoir, to burning out the pump, to even having the racket get really sticky. It doesn't want to auto steer for you anymore. Having the right size cooler in there will prevent any of that from happening. So in a drift car, either if it doesn't have a power steering cooler or if it is a tiny one like this one does from the factory, it's worth putting in a bigger cooler. So that's why that's there. And now it's time to do this all over again, but with that big oil cooler and with some even fancier lines. Install is complete on the oil cooler, and it's looking good, PT. I really like the way you routed the lines. You worked them both up underneath here and wrapped it around on the inside of the engine
and the
bay,
reason
which is clever.
I went for that is I was a little bit worried with them out here. Normally they would run along here and around the corner, but
yeah.
I thought, you know, if you get into a little bit of a wreck or whatnot, we don't want to rip a line.
Never a bad plan.
They're all tucked away, right?
Yeah, no, it's really
Inside.
tidy. I like the way you did that. And I really like these Vibrant
know,
race hoses
me
with
too.
the red in it. It just gives it kind of a racy look, which I think is nice. And these 90-degree fittings from Vibrant are nice and compact.
Yeah, those are their low profile ones, which worked out well.
Yeah. So we are all dialed in here. As you can see, the lines running along the underside of the rad support, and then down to our sandwich adapter. We used a Mishimoto sandwich adapter here, which obviously you need to connect the oil cooler to the engine. By the way, the only thing that Vibrant doesn't make on this whole setup is a sandwich adapter. So Vibrant, when are you gonna start making sandwich adapters?
We need them.
So here is our current intake setup. It's an InGen cold air, and I think Xander, the previous owner, just threw this tiny little filter on here for shipping because this isn't the correct filter for the setup. This is off like an ATV or something. It's
I'm sure it's a cheap
funny
like
little-
Pep Boys intake, but
I think he just
we do appreciate the cause.
appreciate that, yes. So this intake is designed to have this big old tube. The filter would sit down in here. So this would pass through there. Air filter would be here. It's not going to fit anymore with our oil cooler. So this style of cold air intake is not going to work on the car anymore. So the easiest fix is just to put a new filter. Got an AM filter kicking around the shop here that fits onto the end of this part of the intake. And we could just turn it into a short ram, just have it sit here in the engine bay like that. Nothing wrong with that per se, but without a heat shield around the filter, it's going to be sucking in a lot of hot engine bay air. So this will be fine for like startup, just to kind of get the car running, but I'd like to have a heat shield around it for when we're ripping at the racetrack. So I'll look into some other options. I'm a fan of K&N's FIPK setups, which have a nice integrated heat shield that seals to the underside of the hood, so it really isolates the filter well. That'll probably be the way I want to go on this. But if you guys have any experience with air intake systems on 350Zs that you feel do a good job and work well within the confines of the engine bay, because we can't put the filter down here anymore, let me know in the comment section, and I'll do some more research on that. I think otherwise that's a wrap on this episode. Thanks very much for watching. We had a lot of fun doing all this plumbing, all this cooling, and in the next episode, I think we're going to be moving on to suspension and maybe wheels and tires too, so stay tuned for all of that. Be sure to give us a thumbs up for more 350Z drift car building action. Hit the subscribe button if you don't want to miss another episode, and soon enough we'll be moving on to that other drift car.
Welcome to another episode of the Drift Car Build-Off presented by Koyorad and Spec Clutch.
Before we go ripping some sweets, it's Monday, Peter!
Yes, it is Monday.